This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Ooh, what a weekend. Welcome in to Money Moves. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. We're live, as always, from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Hanging out with you for the next 2 hours. Big show on deck. And I say wild weekend. It was pretty fun over the past couple of days. Always hanging out with you for, 4 hours on Sunday. I know it's your favorite thing every week.
Big brewskis afterwards as well, right?
Yeah,
so no,
bonding.
Yeah, that's what, show bonding. We have the chemistry up. I've heard that it's been awful, and I can attest to that. But no, it was a very busy weekend. A lot of football, a lot of ramifications. We are down to, dare you say, the nitty and the gritty in the NFL as we have the last day of Week 12 tonight between your 49ers, which is why you are dressed as so, and the Carolina Panthers, also kind of your Carolina Panthers, as we're talking about the Stormy Buonantony Bowl. But this is all getting real serious, man, so I'm excited. And, of course, it is Feast Week. I got a lot of college basketball on the phone and the laptop. What a week.
The name of that tournament, invitational, whatever it is, it's on the bottom of your scoreboard. Can you read it out loud, please?
I do not see what the Players Era Championship?
Oh, no, we're looking at a different one. I was looking at the one that Tennessee's in.
That's it. It's a Players Era.
No, it was called the come on. It's something. It's some chocolate.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sponsored event.
I have no idea.
Oh, I'll look it up in the commercial break.
That bit did not go over well. See, as you can tell, we need to work on the bits.
That's not a bit. I was serious when I was walking in. I was like, that's what the Terry's chocolate. Oh, it's not the Tennessee one. It's the Liberty one.
Oh, okay.
The Terry's chocolate ESPN Events Invitational.
There we go.
That's a lot. That's
right
a mouthful.
Rolls right off the tongue.
It's a mouthful, just saying. On that note, let's jump right in, set the table for everything that we have to come today on the program. Time for the rundown.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the Rundown.
It is an overreaction Monday, or a proper reaction Monday, depending on the way you want to phrase it. Time for Call Me Crazy But a little bit later on in the hour. And we have a handful of opinions this week. JVT is going to tell us who the best teams are in the NFL and why it's not even close. And I'm going to tell you why this team in the Big 12 deserves an at-large bid. A few other fun items as well.
Yeah, what am I supposed to tease? You took mine.
You weren't going to say that.
I actually was.
You have other items.
I do have other items, and I'm very much can't wait to tell you them.
You're dead to me. We're also going to get into some of the market movers and shakers in college football and the National Football League because there was a lot of action in the overnight. We've also got plenty of news this morning when it comes to quarterbacks around the league. JVT, JJ McCarthy, ya boy, in concussion protocol, evidently. Shedeur Sanders, after the big debut.
Yeah.
He's going to be going again this coming week. Zach Taylor also expects Joey B to officially be back on the field on Thursday, so lots of updates, and with that, line moves associated with them.
Shedeur Sanders gets a full week of practice with the starters, and the Browns win. Coincidence? I think not. I think we have a starting quarterback in Cleveland for the foreseeable future. Maybe for eternity. Who knows?
I think it was good to see that offense do something. And
yes.
we had that. I was on my soapbox last Thursday talking about how I hope he had a good performance. And he did, and I'm happy for him. It has been very interesting, though, to see the nationwide response and the two sides of the coin on it, which we can get to in a little bit.
Also, I would assume that you will probably never trust the Las Vegas Raiders again.
What? No, they're awful. They're awful. And we even talked about this yesterday on the show going in. I was like, I'm going to stick to my guns here. I'm going with the Raiders. And it was
in fairness, you couldn't see it coming.
But we talked about, I said, and you said, should the Raiders ever be laying points against anyone? Probably not. But, rookie quarterback, making his debut on the road, good pass rush, maybe there's a chance. And just dead. Dead to me. What I hope is not dead to me tonight is the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to do a deep dive on the Monday night game against the Carolina Panthers today. We'll hit it here. We'll hit it again in the second hour with some deeper dive in the prop markets that we want to get to. And you mentioned my outfit. We both need the 49ers today for a number of reasons. I need them for household dominance, which I tried to establish early, which is why I'm wearing the 49ers shirt, jacket, all of that. Had to get that out of the system with my husband, for anyone who doesn't know, is a big Panthers fan, and he has way too many family members in town this week, so I'm going to be outnumbered. Did get my brother to come along tonight, so that was a big move. You also have the final leg of a 13-leg, 10-point teaser that has the 49ers in the balance, and I have 3 teasers that the 49ers are a final leg in, so we really need them to win tonight.
Yeah, I have a classic teaser, and then, as I call called it the S's and G's 13-leg 10-point teaser because I don't know why we got on the topic like late last week, and I was like, I haven't had one of these for like a very long time. I just put one in and see what happens. And sure enough, yeah, look at this. So here it is right here. These are all 13 legs. Every leg has cashed except for one, and that is the 49ers +3. So it's a 10-1 payout, and we're just sitting back and hoping the 49ers can stay inside of 3 points and or win the game.
What a time to be alive.
I mean, of course I'm hooked, so we're going to play these every week now, right?
You have to. I mean, or at least just keep it right. And you got to go into next week and just see if you can do it again.
Let's just ignore the ridiculousness of having a 13-leg teaser only pay me out 10-1, but that's fine.
Why did you also go with 13? Like, you did every single game?
No, well, so what I was trying to do is they also don't let you correlate like side and total. I was going to do every side
Mix
and total.
them up a little bit, okay.
But, like the teasing up the Texans and then going like over or under, whatever I was trying to do. Like they're not letting you do that. So
they won't
there
let you
quite
SGT within the big T.
Yeah, so like there was a lot where I actually did have a 16-leg teaser set up and ready to go. But I was denied on many of the legs. So 13 legs it is. And before anybody says it, yes, I know. It is not plus EV. I'm not trying to do anything. I was just a few in. It was like, let's do it.
Have a little fun.
Let's do it. And here we go.
Let's roll. With that, though, if the odds are any indication, that should be a leg that should come home. Knock on wood. We will hope for it. The 49ers are 7.5 point favorites, depending on where you look. Total on the look ahead was as low as 45. It reopened 47 and has been bet up another 2 points from their JVT. We're sitting at 49.5. And this is something that I've talked to you about a lot on the program over the last few weeks, especially with some of the 49ers defensive issues and injuries. They are an over team right now, gone over their posted total in 3 straight games since week 1, 7-2-1 to the over. The last 3 games have gone over their total by an average of 14.5 points. The defensive issues, the offense getting healthier as well. Brock Purdy in his return game last week against the Cardinals, 73% completions, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. CMC also, big night for him, by the way. First time facing the team that drafted him since he was traded to San Francisco in 2022.
So I think you're right in everything you pointed out here. I would assume the 49ers have some offensive success. The game going over, there's the potential to do that. I think one of the low-key big notes about this game is the fact that Christian Roseman and Trevin Wallace aren't going to play for the Carolina Panthers. That's your 2 starting interior linebackers that aren't going to be out there. And the hardcore observation is, Kyle Shanahan likes to do a little thing of attacking these linebackers with the way they run this offense. Mm-hmm. They're going to be moving. He's going to be getting flowing and play action. It's a big part of what this Shanahan offense does. And so to have 2 interior linebackers that aren't going to be there, I think really opens this thing up for San Francisco to not only operate their offense. We'll talk about props in depth later, but one would assume as well, not only the low-hanging fruit of Christian McCaffrey, but George Kittle.
Yeah.
George Kittle against a defense that, with their starting unit, ranks 32nd against opposing tight ends in terms of DVOA, and now is down 2 guys that might be out there in coverage against them. I think you'll have some offensive success, but as you flipped it around the other way, Bryce Young's coming off of his best game as a pro. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's really any question for what we saw from him last week. 51 dropbacks, 448 yards, 10 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, no turnover-worthy plays. He was great, and now you take on a defense that is 32nd at pressure rate, and it's going to allow the demure Bryce Young to sit back and do some stuff, I think, from the pocket.
Some of his prop numbers, when you look at him on the surface, and you said it, we're going to dive into these at length a little bit later on. When you look at him on the surface, you're like, well, he hasn't hit these numbers at all, really, this season, with the exception of last week. And yet, I am very tempted on a lot of his overs because of what you just mentioned with San Francisco's defense. And let's hit on some of the additional injuries of note here for San Francisco. Eddie Pinheiro, their kicker, still out. Matt Gay is expected to be elevated from the practice squad to kick. And the defense has been banged up. Speaking of the Carolina Panthers linebackers, same thing here for San Francisco, which is now getting particularly thin because we already know Fred Warner's out for the season. His replacement at middle linebacker, Tatum Bethune, also out tonight, suffered a high ankle sprain last week. And their Sam linebacker, Luke Gifford, is questionable with hip and neck issues. Then at defensive end, Yetur Gross-Matos on IR. Robert Beal Jr. has been an important rotational guy. He's doubtful with a concussion as well. And a reminder, of course, they're already down Nick Bosa, Michael Williams, a lot of big names on this defense that haven't been available. And then in addition to the linebackers for Carolina, they are also down their starting center, Cade Mays, who has an ankle issue. And I do think that's kind of a sneaky big deal, at least maybe not against this 49ers pass rush that can't seem to do anything. But they've already had some injuries up front. Robert Hunt and Brady Christensen have been out. The good news about that, though, Cade Mays actually was the original starting center to start this year. he got hurt a couple weeks into the season and was spelled. So just something to keep tabs on there. And thanks to Spot Odds, as always, for the injury updates from professional sports bettors like Billy Walters to world-class bookmakers like the ones right here at Circus Sports, where we're broadcasting from. Anyone who bets big or books big uses Spot Odds. Use the tools the pros use. Subscribe today at spotodds.com and use the code VSIN for a special discount. I am particularly excited for this game, though. I have good vibes about it. I don't know. Am I wrong? Am I crazy?
Good vibes in that the 7-point favorite is going to take care of business?
And that they'll win the game,
Yeah.
yes. I don't know how I feel about the 7.5 in particular, though.
So I am surprised. I went on with our friend Kendall Valenzuela this morning on SiriusXM Fantasy, and we talked about that a little bit. I think the 49ers deserve to be favored here. I think about 7 is probably right. I am somewhat surprised with the markets, as I put it, ease to get to 7.5, with plenty of just 7.5 minus 110s that are out there, considering how poor this pass rush has been and the fact that I think your floor is raised somewhat by taking on a team that can't get after your quarterback. Some of those 7.5s are starting to disappear, but there's still plenty of them out there at the screen. That, to me, is somewhat surprising. Like, I think the Panthers are deserving of slightly more respect, and if you're going to give me 7 and the hook with minus 110 on both sides, that seems like a pretty tempting proposition.
And hey, listen, the Panthers have stepped up and beat teams that nobody thought they would. Of course, we all look to the game against the Green Bay Packers, but they've won 5 of their last 7 games, 6 of their last 9. They swept the Atlanta Falcons. In fact, the Panthers are tied for the lead in the NFC South right now, ladies and gentlemen. Could hold sole position if they get a win today.
I mean, they could win it, considering what's going to go happen. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with Baker Mayfield moving forward. I mean,
and all the other injuries they've already had and had to deal with.
Yep. Man, what a time to be alive, huh?
What a time. And what are the Bucks in the division right now? Like minus $4 still? Could be juicy. Take a plus money price on Carolina. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. But to continue to recap what transpired yesterday, the Chiefs finally won a 1-score game. Fortunately, came against JVT's Colts. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
Interesting week in the NFL. A lot of favorites end up finishing the job and winning their games outright. Not so great against the spread, though. 4-9 ATS in Week 12. Those double-digit dogs were barking. I could not believe the battle that the Detroit Lions had to be in ultimately with the New York Giants yesterday. Also, big week for unders, 9-4 to the under in Week 12. The Tennessee Titans cover for a third straight week, so that ended up being a good leg in our Circa Millions contest, which I wasn't so sure about, but you did it. You nailed it.
I mean, there was never really a doubt.
It wasn't.
I mean, so, well, here's the thing.
How often did we get scared, though? Because we were talking about how Seattle could go scorched earth any minute, and for a little while they were.
Well, and that was, I mean, they were right on the edge. I mean, you never want to be catching 13 and a half, and the numbers on 13 like the whole time, which is essentially what the whole game was. And then very clearly, and I do think this is part of what the situation entailed, because part of the logic was, hey, you know what, look, you just took on a division foe. You got to go on the road now to take on the Tennessee Titans. It's probably hard to get up for that. You probably also don't really care. And I think Seahawks definitely took the foot off the gas when they were in control of it. And we're just like, that's fine, Cam.
Yeah.
Like, you can drive for a late touchdown. You can make this a 1-score game. We don't really care. We have bigger fish to fry. And I think that really, obviously, that helped us out to kind of punch the linchpin in what was the cover. So very happy. Yeah. Very much believe in Cam Ward. And maybe, as you alluded to, the Titans are turning things around here, no?
Turning things around and covering numbers, I think, are a little bit different things.
I also think, too, it's a good lesson, as we do on Fridays with our market power ratings. Tennessee has hit the bottom of the barrel these last few weeks. Sometimes, when the market adjusts on you, you just get a little too far out. I always like to tell the story. I have a buddy who, the year before they got Tua Tagovailoa, he comes up to me with this hot take, and he goes, the Dolphins are going to go 0-16 against the spread this year. And I'm like, that's probably not going to happen.
So it's hard.
Yes, it's very hard to do.
You always say the great equalizer.
Yes, that is. The point spread is the great equalizer, the old cliche. And I think you kind of see this over this last few weeks for the Titans, where they're still very bad. But the market just got out a little too far. And sure enough, stayed inside of some numbers.
You know who's not very bad? The Los Angeles Rams. Oh. We'll talk about the Colts in a moment, because you know what they say? Good teams win. Great teams cover. So one could argue the Colts were a great team for us yesterday. But I want to talk about the Los Angeles Rams for a moment, because with the dominant performance that they put on Tampa Bay and the Bucs yesterday, and as we did mention, Baker Mayfield sprained a C joint in his left shoulder. He's got to get an MRI. No fracture or structural damage, but not officially ruling him out for this coming week against Arizona, just to put that out there. But but just going with what the actual information is out there as of right now. But for Matthew Stafford and the Rams, another dominant performance, so much so that we have seen the market shift in a handful of places. The Rams are now your Super Bowl favorite at 4-1. And Matthew Stafford, who we've been talking about for the last few weeks in the MVP race, out to minus 215.
I mean, I think you would argue that's cheap. Given how well he's played, the statistical dominance, the fact that his team is likely going to be a top seed in the NFC. Don't forget this, and this is voted on by a human being, so you have to kind of handicap how they're handling this. Stormy, does this not feel like, I think I brought this up to Mitch, and he and I talked about it on
Pod to the Future.
Wherever you get your podcast, make sure you check it out, along with Money Moves, if you have your fine program that I'm on 5 times a week. This feels like a career achievement award for Matthew Stafford, where he hasn't won it. He's finally in a position to actually win the award because of his play. It makes all the sense in the world. So not only is he deserving of it from the standpoint of his play, but I do think these voters would like to give it to him because of the status of his career. I don't think I'm saying anything shocking when I say likely a Hall of Famer, maybe not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but a Hall of Famer nonetheless. So I think this feels like something that is going to cap off the year for him. And a bet like that, I think you're just betting against injury, which, of course, can totally happen. But if he just maintains, I think he is your runaway favorite for MVP, and rightfully so.
On a stretch right now, last 8 games, 25 touchdowns, not a single interception. The Kansas City Chiefs also, so we talk about them beating the Colts yesterday, 23-20, your final in overtime, potentially a win that would save their season. This is a team that, despite the struggles they've had this year, has still stayed up on the odds board in competition for those AFC title, for Patrick Mahomes MVP, all of those things. Despite all of their issues, again, they have been up there. This is Kansas City's first game all season where they played in a 1-score game and actually won. Although that cover for the Colts, they're up 20-9 late in this game, and even the cover was in doubt late. I was watching this game with you over there at Mega Bar. You were not feeling very well.
No.
Talk us through it.
Well, what do you mean? I mean, like, what's to start with? They weren't playing particularly well. We knew they were going to blow this. So this is a stat that sticks out. And as we were watching it, it doesn't really you don't really understand it until you really start to see it on paper. The Colts had 3 possessions in the fourth quarter. Every single one of them, when they had the ball, they were leading. Each of them was a 3-and-out. They ran it one time. You have a potential MVP candidate, a guy who might win Offensive Player of the Year, steals one of my ideas that I had earlier today, that we're going to talk about and call me crazy, and you don't give it to him. That, to me, is a play-calling snafu that you cannot get over. And I think Steichen's great. I think he's a master play caller. He's done a great job. We're going to hear from him here in a second. But every once in a while, man, he's got these games where you're like, dude, what are you doing? And this was it. But let's hear from Steichen, because this was him after the game, and you're going to hear the phrase over and over again. I have to be better.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the defense did a great job getting the takeaways. You know, when we get a backed-up situation, we got to get ourselves out of that situation. That's a 3-and-out there, and then we had another 3-and-out, and then we had another 3-and-out. So anytime you have 3-and-outs and you're not moving the ball efficiently, it's going to be hard for anyone to win football games, and we got to be better. I got to be better. Yeah, I think being efficient on 1st and 10, I thought at times we did that a little bit, but we didn't do it enough in the second half. It wasn't good enough, and it starts with myself. I think we got to be better in all phases, run and pass, moving the football.
If you remember when we were on the desk yesterday, I kept harping. Daniel Jones had started 10 of 11. He had hit 7 different receivers. He had 2 touchdowns. It's like he steered a little too much, though, into the hot hand, and that completely dissipated over the course of the second half. And you blow, I mean, think about it. The moment when Kareem Hunt fumbles that football in the red zone, that should have been a near nail in the coffin for Kansas City. And instead, you immediately go 3-and-out, kick it right back to him, and give Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, another bite at the apple. And as I always like to say, you keep giving a bite to the apple, eventually teeth are going to find flesh. And sure enough, that's what Kansas City did, and they eventually won.
And after we had all that conversation, too, about how maybe some of the magic for Kansas City late in these games had gone away, and maybe opponents aren't as scared of Patrick Mahomes late in these games. Well, wrong, apparently. Again, it was a 20-9 lead in the fourth quarter. Kansas City in the fourth quarter in overtime outscored Indy 14-0, outgained them 236 yards to just 18. And what I thought was really interesting, too, JVT, I don't know if you saw these numbers, but the differential numbers for the Colts at home versus on the road, I didn't realize how staggering this was. 6-0 at home compared to 2-3 on the road, a plus 94-point differential at home, which is the best mark in the National Football League, to just plus 18 on the road. And Jonathan Taylor, who we're talking about, rush yards, averaging 137 per game in their own building in Indy compared to just 75 on the road.
Yeah. Now, I don't think this is hey, this team can't play away from home. Each one of these losses on the road have been by one score. You probably should have beat the Rams, or obviously the A.D. Mitchell game where he's got the touchdown that he drops out of the end zone, and then the touchdown that Jonathan Taylor scores that is called back because of A.D. Mitchell on a holding call. By the way, A.D. Mitchell in a Jets uniform, kind of shaky, so we go back to that trade. We'll see how that works out. And then, of course, they got their rear ends kicked by the Steelers. That's a one-score loss as well. So I don't think this, if they get into the playoffs, we'll pause on that for a second. If they get to the playoffs, the Colts, I don't think this is one of those where if they're going to go outdoors, they can't do it. I do think that it's a situation in which, their 3 worst performances have come on the road. We'll see if that plays out. And again, if they get there, because they're scheduled down the stretch, they've got 2 games against Houston. They've got 2 games against Jacksonville. They have your ever-healthy 49ers. They have a road game against the Seattle Seahawks. This team, we talked about this ad nauseum coming out of the break. If you were going to short Shane Steichen for Coach of the Year, if you were going to short Jonathan Taylor for Offensive Player of the Year, the time to do it was right about now, because this is the portion of the schedule you're going to get into with Indianapolis, where they're probably going to start to take it on the chin. Well, they already took one punch. Now they got to play at Houston against home, and then December 7th, they have to go to a place where they have not won since Stormy Buonantony is 22 years old, Jacksonville.
2014 for inquiring minds.
It just sounds more dramatic.
The odds board, they are still co-favorites in the
24.
AFC.
Yeah.
The odds board very compact at the top. Market seems to have no clue who's actually going to come out of the AFC when all said and done. Chiefs, Colts, Patriots all at 5-1. The Bills and Ravens at plus 550. I know we have to get to the break, and we can carry over some of this conversation next. I want to make sure that we hit on what transpired with Shedeur Sanders and the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday, because it was a very interesting performance for a lot of reasons on both sides of the ball, and it ultimately led to the firing of the Raiders offensive coordinator that I'm not necessarily sure how much it's Chip Kelly's fault.
Oh, I got a lot to say about this.
But I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on it. But I did want to remind everybody, as it is the holiday season, we got Thanksgiving coming up this week, Black Friday coming up on Friday. And if you're not a VSiN Pro subscriber yet, this could be your best chance to join us for a steal of a deal, as our Black Friday special is live. And for just $60, you get full VSiN Pro access to everything we offer all the way through May 1st. That's going to give you our daily best bets from all of our VSiN show hosts and guests, real-time betting splits from DraftKings, Circa, and Brocco, AI-powered prop tools, weekly wide receiver cornerback matchup edges, 24/7 video and replays on the VSiN Watch app, and so much more. We're covering every major sport through the spring. Football, hoops, March Madness will be here before you know it. The NFL Draft, the Masters, our biggest new subscriber offer to date. Don't wait. VSiN.com/subscribe is how you can come join us. Again, that's VSIN.com/subscribe.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Everybody starts different places. And like I say, just because I didn't get the summer reps, just because I wasn't in the best situation, for me to be prepared to go out there and execute, from a summer standpoint, that's how life is. Everybody's not in the best situation, but it's no excuse. You got to go out there and perform. There's no choice, there's no question. Nobody cares if this was 1 week of prep. Who cares? So a lot of people want to see me fail, and it ain't going to happen.
Who gets the win yesterday in Vegas for his first career start, despite being a 3-point road dog, 24-10, the final for the Browns. And with all the Browns quarterbacks they've cycled through the years, JVT, last couple decades in particular, he is the first Browns quarterback since 1995 to win his first career start, ended a streak of 17 straight L's. Also snapped a streak of 13 straight road losses for the Cleveland Browns. So there you go. What did you make of the performance yesterday here in Vegas?
I thought that was the greatest start by a rookie quarterback that I've ever seen. And I'm really astonished that Kevin Stefanski wouldn't start him. In fact, I think Stefanski should probably be fired, that they just held this amazing, burgeoning talent back this entire season. Fireable offense. It was fine. He was fine. I think there's things to build on. There was some upside. I don't think that there is any quarterbacks on this roster that could roll out the way that he did and hit a dude in stride down the side of the field. I think that was a very positive moment. I think there was a lot of negative moments, as we saw this week and last week. And I think that you saw things that you can build on. And I think you saw a performance against a bad team. And to be honest with you, because he is the name, we will talk about it, the story is the other side. Not the Browns, not Shedeur, but he was fine, enough to earn the start, which he has next week, and for the Browns to legitimately see if whether or not they have something on their hands here.
We will get to the other side in a moment, have no fear. But that is the best opinion I have heard all day on the subject of Shedeur Sanders, because I feel like because he's such a polarizing person and player and family, you get the one side of the aisle that is like, we told you he had practice reps. He's going to be unbelievable. He's the best quarterback. Okay, let's relax for a second. It was a good performance against a bad team. There are some moments that are, and then there are others that will say, well, look at the underlying metrics, and that's all they look at, which I will say weren't particularly good yesterday. So for the full scope of this, here's the good: 10.4 yards per attempt. You mentioned some of those deep passes, 3 passes over 35 yards this season. I mean, all year prior to that, whether it was Flacco or Dylan Gabriel, there was only one of those such completions. Yeah. So that says, I think, a very positive thing about what he was able to get. Of course, the 66-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. That was also the longest completion by a rookie quarterback this season, and Cam Ward's been starting all year. So that's another piece of context. But he did post a QBR of just 8.7, according to ESPN. He averaged minus 0.21 EPA per dropback with a success rate of 23.8%. That is not particularly efficient, playing against one of the worst teams in the league, a Raiders team that I don't think any of us think is very good. I am excited to see what he does moving forward. And we do know that Shedeur is going to start this coming week as well. Let's see what he does and continues to build, because there was a lot of brightness to it. But I think it's exciting to know we can see more. I'm happy he had the performance he did. But it's just the two sides of this, of the people that want to do their victory laps because of one game against the Raiders, that I don't understand.
I don't know. Kevin Stefanski didn't give him the game ball afterwards. I think that's an affront to mankind, to be quite honest with you.
Let's go to the other side of this thing.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Shall we? Tell me about your Raiders, because there was a lot.
You know, they say you don't want to beat a dead horse. I do. I would love to beat this dead horse into a bloody pulp and then just continue to hammer into the ground. What a performance from the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday. Yet again, a new embarrassing low for Las Vegas last night. And here's the thing. You mentioned this. This is the incredible part about it. You come out of this game and your response is to fire Chip Kelly. I want to hear from Pete Carroll, because one of the odd things, I am somewhat of a masochist, I suppose, I put myself through all the time, is I watch Raiders press conferences after these games. And listening to Pete Carroll just ramble and mumble and stumble through some of these, I don't even know what he's trying to say here. Pete, what went wrong against the Browns yesterday?
We had opportunities to make big plays, and we didn't hit them. QB was under duress the entire time, and so our ability to match up with their pass rush didn't work out well. And so I'm really disappointed that we weren't able to find the plays that could have given us the field change and the switch so that you have a chance to knock one in and get out of there. Unfortunately, the penalties were, this is a crew that calls the most penalties in the NFL, and they hit right on their head, right, their number that they always call. And we knew that. We had a strategy about it. We were trying to stay out of their targets, you know, their sight lines, and we didn't get it done. And so we endured a number of penalties, but there was a couple really big ones that really made a difference in the game and changed the field position drastically. So I know y'all want to know, like, where does it go with the quarterback versus the pass rush and all that? Well, we have to protect the quarterback a whole lot better than we did.
So in response to needing to protect the quarterback in a much better way, this is one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League. Geno Smith has regressed immensely. The stud running back that you spent the 6th overall pick on has regressed and not performed very well. The response is to fire Chip Kelly. Okay, I guess I understand that. But what about your running game coordinator, your offensive line coach? What about your quarterbacks coach? Wait a minute. Brennan Carroll and Nate Carroll.
Interesting.
Who are those guys? Oh, that's right. They're your children. This is a clown show. This is ridiculous. The team has regressed. Everybody in the world shouted from the mountaintops, nothing against Ashton Denty. It's a wasted pick. A running back does not make a bad running game better. We have all points of evidence for this, and yet the Raiders decide to do that. You go and get John Spytek. I tweeted this out earlier today. When we were in New Orleans, I went to New Orleans for the Super Bowl this last year for ESPN Las Vegas, what I do on the side. Stormy, I could not count on two hands how many people came out of their way when they saw the Las Vegas signage. I'm not exaggerating, to tell us, oh, Spike Tech's awesome. They got a good one. He's going to be great. And yet all these decisions after the hiring have not screamed anybody who is forward-thinking, progressive thinking when it comes to building a team. It screams it's being run by some stodgy old fools who don't really know what they want to do here. This needs to be cleaned out. Davis needs to understand that the rebuild needs to happen. Stop hiring your sons and realize that they're part of the problem. This is embarrassing for the Las Vegas Raiders, and they continue to get worse week after week. They're an abomination.
And you know what I think makes it that much worse is that at the beginning of the season, how much of the conversation around this new look and this new regime for Vegas was that this is finally a professional organization.
Yes.
They are finally going to have culture and turn this thing around, and it has been the complete polar opposite of that. The 2-9 start, by the way, for Pete Carroll, worst start he has had to any collegiate or NFL season to start, period.
And bring it back to the betting standpoint, as you have pointed out. Who's got the worst spread differential in the National Football League?
That would be the Las Vegas Raiders.
Right, spread differential being how often or how well do you fail or not fail to cover the point spread.
Minus 7.2 points.
So you're failing to cover by 7.2 points per game as a team that is perennially an underdog.
And I'll hit you with some of these offensive numbers, by the way, as well. Yards per rush, 31st in the NFL. Yards per play, 30th. First downs per game, 30th. Red zone touchdown percentage, 48%, 28th in the NFL. Geno Smith's total QBR for the season, 29, ranking 32nd of 33 qualified passers. The only guy in front of him is J.J. McCarthy, which we got to have a whole other conversation about that. The Browns defense sacked Geno Smith 10 times yesterday. Third most allowed in a game since 1963. Myles Garrett had 3 of them. And let's give some credit to Cleveland here for what they were able to do. 8 different guys had at least a half a sack in this one. And now Myles Garrett, a career high 18 for him on the year, second most ever at this point in a season since sacks became a stat. You know who the other guy was? Reggie White, who had 19 in 11 games. Not too bad a company.
Dude, you're watching, and he's probably a nice guy. I don't know him. But you're watching this game yesterday, and you're watching them allow Stone Forsythe to match up one-on-one with Myles Garrett.
Ridiculous.
Who just swallows him up like when I'm like roughhousing with my kids and I can just palm my 7-year-old in the face and throw him off to the side. It's exactly what Myles Garrett was doing here. And they were allowing it to happen down after down.
Last 90 seconds, because Dave Ross on his drive is listening on the way. We got to talk about his Cowboys real quickly.
No, we don't.
Who rally from down 21-0 to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles offensive drives, the last 8 of them, no points.
Yep.
They punt 5 times. Crucial fourth quarter giveaway, which, by the way, doesn't include the fumble on the punt either. But they're still 8-3 and probably going to win the division. What do you do here?
I'll say this about that game. I don't care about the Eagles. I don't care about anything else. This is for Dave Ross. I think he'll appreciate this. And actually, it's a great dynamic because you're sitting here to my right. I don't care. If Dak Prescott does not win Comeback Player of the Year, I will riot. I don't know what I will do, but I will riot. He's up there this year statistically with Stafford. He has been incredible all year long. This team has been awesome. And here we go again. Dak continues to dominate the NFC East. This is my guy. I will plant my flag here. And Christian McCaffrey, no.
I was going to say, and yet CMC is a shorter favorite, albeit only by 5 cents. Okay. CMC minus 110 on the board, Dak minus 105. And then, that's who it's between. Aiden Hutchinson, 10-1. Your boy Daniel Jones, who I know you still can't understand why he's even on this odds board to begin with, 16-1. Okay.
Some of you thought he was going to win MVP. That's funny.
What?
Daniel Jones. I got a lot of how could you not think about him for MVP? It was never going to win.
We got to step aside. When we come back, you know what time it is. Call me crazy, but after this.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Put on your tinfoil hats.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. The whole world gone crazy.
For Call Me Crazy, but...
All right, let's get into it. Reacting to the weekend with Call Me Crazy, but Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. And JVT, because we haven't done a ton of college football today, I do want to kick off with an opinion that I have in the Big 12. And you might think I'm crazy, but I think win or lose the Big 12 title game, call me crazy, but BYU should be in the college football playoff.
You don't believe that at all?
I do.
Okay, they lose 45-0.
That game's not supposed to impact you negatively. getting to play in the conference championship game is not supposed to have an impact on the committee's.
Keyword.
Now,
supposed to.
Do I believe that this is going to happen? No. But should it? Yes. I was looking at some of the numbers. You put a Big Ten logo on the BYU resume, the committee has them in. They just went on the road and bullied a nationally ranked Cincinnati team 26-14. LJ Martin runs for 222. They have a win over the number 12 ranked team per their metrics, an 8-win Arizona team, which should be in tomorrow's set of rankings, and 4 teams that are 7-4 this year. Their strength of record is 6th in the country, according to ESPN's FPI, 28th in strength of schedule, both metrics ahead of Notre Dame, Oregon, and the aforementioned Texas Tech, also outpacing Oklahoma and Alabama when it comes to strength of record. They've won 3 of their last 4 conference games, so their eye test might not be dropping 70 on Syracuse, but they should pass that, in my opinion. There are a lot of things I think look good for BYU, and I think even if they lose the Big 12 title game, they should be in. They should be a top 10 team.
I actually think you're right here, and I mean, you don't ever want to assume anything, but barring anything crazy over the weekend, I would agree with your record, with your case here that their record is strong enough, their resume is strong enough that they should be in. I think it makes it complicated for a lot of these others, but it also goes back to, you were right. I mean, my assumption at the beginning of the year was that this is going to be a one-bid league. But I think that there's a pretty strong case to be made that this should be, barring another regular season loss for BYU, a 2-bid league between the two that are going to make it.
And I know it didn't look good for BYU in that game against Texas Tech, but that's also the number 5 ranked team in the country.
That might be a legitimate contender. Their defense is great. Their defensive line is awesome. Their offense is pretty good. I don't think there's much shame in that.
I do think we're going to get the rematch. BYU's a big favorite against UCF. Texas Tech's a big favorite against West Virginia. It's all signs are pointing to that being the game.
Yeah, well, and I know we were going to do tiebreakers, but just to put that in, all you got to do is win for both of them and you're in. Yep. There's some complicated tiebreakers for these other teams as well.
All right, rant over. What's your first one?
It was a good one. I think that was very strong. Mine was better about Pete Carroll. All right, call me crazy, but the Rams and the Seahawks are the 2 best teams in the NFL by a mile. You watch over the weekend, the Eagles blow this game against the Cowboys. I'm still one that believes in this Eagles team defensively, but I think I've glossed over how hit or miss this offense has been. You look at the dominance of both of these teams, and I'm sorry, if you want to come at me with they beat the Titans by 1 score, you don't watch the game. They completely dominated Tennessee and then said, okay, cool, let's move on to next week. We're good to go. This Seahawks team is great. The Rams have the best quarterback in the league right now. Everything's going in their direction. I think these 2 teams, we do our market power ratings on Friday. I would be stunned if these 2 teams were not the 2 highest rated teams in the NFL. I mean, they have to be up there with, obviously, Kansas City because the market's not going to budge on them.
You're not crazy at all. Call me crazy, but we need to get us an immortal chamber or whatever the hell that thing was. Because, I mean, how long ago was it we thought Matthew Stafford's back was freaking broken?
Yep.
And now here he is, the best quarterback in the league. He walked into damaged man. He came out an MVP. Get me some of whatever that little contraption is. But you're not wrong at all. The Rams have been awesome, both sides of the ball, as have the Seattle Seahawks. And even in a game for Seattle, to that comparison, Sam Darnold had 4 interceptions in that game against LA, and they still almost won. And that, to me, tells you how good the Seahawks must be to have competed the way that they did against the LA Rams. Right now, LA is the 1 seed in the NFC. Could be looking at a first-round bye. They're favorites to win the Super Bowl at 4-1 for a reason. You are not wrong at all. But let's stick with the theme of one of these teams in the Seattle Seahawks, because your boy Jonathan Taylor, while he is still a -140 odds-on favorite to win Offensive Player of the Year, call me crazy, but could he get swooped by Jackson Smith-Njigba here, who is still available at +110?
I mean, he might. So going back to what the Colts are facing going forward, he still has 2 games against, just specifically these 2 games. Jonathan Taylor has 2 against the Houston Texans. It's the best defense in the NFL. It's made every single offense they have faced look foolish. Just for that reason alone, it might benefit you to look at Jackson Smith-Njigba as the Offensive Player of the Year. He's going to continue to put up numbers. The Seahawks schedule moving forward is much more palatable for a team that is going to rip off some wins as opposed to what the Colts have in front of them. They've got the Vikings coming up. They're big favorites. They're on the road against the Falcons. That Colts game that we mentioned, Rams, Panthers, 49ers. I mean, there's some tough ones in there for Seattle. There's also some matchups where Jackson Smith-Njigba, who no matter who they're facing, continues to perform. Yeah, +110. Yep. I would not say no. I think by the time we get to the end of the year, I don't know if he wins it, but I'd fancy a guess that he goes off as a favorite.
Now, I know yesterday it was against the Titans. 8 catches, 167 yards, and 2 touchdowns for him made him surpass the Seattle Seahawks single-season franchise record for receiving yards in a single season, which It's not even Thanksgiving yet, and he's already doing that. And you look at the big picture around the league right now, leads the NFL in receiving yards, tied with 2 others in total receptions on the season, tied for 4th with 7 touchdown catches. He is doing it all, been the go-to guy for Sam Darnold. See if he can continue to build on it. Where are you going next?
All right, well, we'll stay with the Seahawks then. This is the theme after the weekend, even though it beat up.
Theme.
Well, I wanted to ask this question, really. Call me crazy, but shouldn't Mike Macdonald have better odds to win Coach of the Year?
Where is he right now?
He's 15-1.
Okay.
And I understand Mike Vrabel's status as the odds-on favorite, understandable given where the Patriots are at, but you found, maybe it's dropped since I've asked it, but 12-1 still for Macdonald. But again, in terms of just overall odds to win this award, it's not like he's a defensive coach who's being carried by his offense. This is a defense that has been tremendous all season long. They are very well coached. They're always well prepared. I don't know. I mean, at 12-1, if they finish, let's say they steal the NFC West from the Rams, does he not have a better portfolio and a better shot at winning this award than 12-1 would indicate?
I would agree with that. Also, maybe the Shane Steichen taking a little bit of a hit, too, the way things have gone the last 3 weeks. I would ask you a similar question, though, about Ben Johnson sitting in a similar range as Mike Macdonald right now. Should he be a little bit shorter, what he's been able to do with the Bears? I mean, I know I was listening this morning to the guys. Mark Malusis said they've been on this magic carpet ride, the luck factor, whatever you want to call it, but they're winning games.
Yeah. I don't want to be like myopic in like what I think is the perception of everybody else, but I would think that Johnson, the thing that works against him is the Bears are not perceived to be a good team. They're a fine team. They've done as much as they possibly can. But again, to be a team that right now is, what are they at now? Are they 9-3 or 8-3 at this point after this last win? 8-3 with still a negative point differential.
Yeah.
Everything tells you about Chicago that they're fine, but they're not as good as their record would indicate. And thus maybe he doesn't get the credit to be a Coach of the Year candidate. We will see. But I think maybe that's what ultimately holds Johnson back from winning the award, if that's fair.
Yeah. Call me crazy, but is there a bet to be made in the NFC South? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have lost 4 of their last 5 games.
Uh-oh.
I know they were sick this past week, but now your quarterback's dealing with a shoulder injury. We don't know the significance of it yet, but Baker Mayfield set to have an MRI today. At least so far, no structural or fractural damage, but how might that impact a quarterback that's already got a lot of injuries across the roster to this point? They do have 2 head-to-head games with Carolina still to come the back end of the year. And I know the Panthers, they've got the 49ers this week. They've got the Rams next week. If you did want to bet them, maybe you wait after today and see what that number is at right now. But I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are a very heavy favorite right now. We're talking minus $4 or more. I mean, should we be looking at some other team? How do you see it?
It's likely that the Panthers are going to lose. I mean, the probability is that they're going to lose today. I don't know. Do you wait until after this week or after tonight? If you assume that the Panthers are going to lose, do you see what the market does after a loss today and then dive in?
I'm very curious what that number. But do you think that there's a chance that Carolina could beat the 49ers today?
But yes, I do. I mean, yes, it's a possibility.
I'm not kidding. And this is from someone who really needs the 49ers to win, not just as a fan, but I have a lot of financial implications going into this game tonight. Just win at least by 1, please, San Francisco. That said, because of the issues that the 49ers have on defense right now, there's a lot of potential, I think, for this Panthers offense to cook. And if you are in a position in a shootout, that could be anybody's game.
I would agree. You want my last one?
Yeah, hit it.
All right. You've left no time for you to respond to this, so we'll just go. Call me crazy. But I think it might be time to invest in Miami to win the Eastern Conference. That's right. The Miami Heat, folks. It's not all about football. News of the day, the Heat are going to get Tyler Hero back. He's going to make his debut tonight against the Dallas Mavericks. They have won 4 straight. Their next few games, Dallas, Milwaukee, Detroit, Saturday is going to be great. This is a team that is a top 10 group in net rating, 10th in offense, 3rd in defense, and they're about to get their best scorer back in an Eastern Conference that looks wide open. 16-1 to win the East? Give it to me, just like that burger.
I don't think you're crazy, but I am already invested in them just to make the playoffs, so I'm going to stick with my singular future. Remember, everybody, it's the holiday season. Thanksgiving is upon us, and you can make the holidays unforgettable with Omaha Steaks. They've got holiday roast, hand-selected gift packages, and so much more. Omaha Steaks delivering top-quality meals and memorable gifts to bring everyone together. Every steak perfectly aged and hand-carved for exceptional flavor. And right now, you mentioned the burgers, JVT. As a VSiN exclusive, you get 16 free smash Smashburgers with any order of $129 or more, plus 50% off site-wide. Visit omahasteaks.com/vsin. That's omahasteaks.com/VSIN. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details. Speaking of that Niners-Panthers game, deep dive into the prop market coming up after this. Do we like CMC in the revenge spot against his former team?